So, counsel, are there any matters we need to take up before opening statements?
Yes, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Your Honor. Before we take up introductions and pretrial matters, we would like to inform you that a member of our team will have to leave the courtroom briefly at the end of the round for a religious accommodation. The mock trial board has been made aware of this, as has opposing counsel.
Okay.
May we proceed with introductions, Your Honor?
Yes, please, for the Commonwealth.
Yes, Your Honor. My name is Alina Solkowski, and I am joined by my co-counsel, Nessa Kaplan.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Good afternoon.
And Darian Morris.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
We are also joined at counsel table by Detective Carmen Webster.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
And our witnesses, Billy Anderson.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
And Skylar Boyle.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Good afternoon.
Collectively, we represent the Commonwealth in the matter of Commonwealth of Kentucky versus Jordan Pike.
Thank you.
Your Honor, would you like to hear introductions from the defense, or would you like us to proceed with our pretrial matters?
Let's hear from the defense first, and then we will talk about any pretrial matters.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, yes.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. My name is Mia Duggins, and today I'll be handling the pretrial matters for the defense, as well as the opening statement. Alongside me are my co-counsel, Rachel Thompson.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
And Katie Allison. Good afternoon, Your Honor. Today I will be handling the closing argument.
Thank you.
And our witnesses in the order they will be called.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. My name is Charlie Thomas, but today I am Lou Robertson.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. My name is Liam Bourne, but today I am Peyton Clark.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. My name is Sarah Martin, but today I will be Jordan Pike.
Thank you.
And together we represent the defendant, Jordan Pike.
Thank you all. Okay. Preliminary matters.
Yes, Your Honor. First, the Commonwealth would like to inquire whether you would like us to move to strike offending testimony on objections or assume it's stricken.
Let's assume it's stricken.
Yes, Your Honor. The Commonwealth would like to request permission to move freely about the well.
Certainly.
Yes, Your Honor. Would you like testimony directed to yourself, Your Honor, or to the jury box?
To the jury, please.
Yes, Your Honor. And would you like us to tender experts to the court or presume them tendered once foundation has been laid?
Let's presume them tendered.
Yes, Your Honor. At this time, the Commonwealth would like to direct the court's attention to Special Instruction 6, which states that all necessary pretrial notice has been met for the Commonwealth to offer character evidence against the defendant.
Okay.
Finally, Your Honor, we would like to make the court aware of case law Preacher versus Commonwealth, which states that circumstantial evidence of complicity is sufficient and the jury may infer a joint purpose and character from those circumstances.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor. With that, the Commonwealth is ready to proceed.
Thank you. From the defense.
Yes, Your Honor. We just have one pretrial matter at this time. I want to point out an issue that is going to come up in today's case. Many witnesses will say things that they heard other people say. And under the case packet, there's a simple way to determine if it's hearsay or not. Questions, commands, threats, and plans. Under the case materials, these are admissible. Questions, commands, and threats are admissible under case law Daugherty v. Commonwealth, and plans are admissible under Rule 803-3. So once again, questions, commands, threats, and plans are admissible. And with that, the defense is ready to proceed.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Anything else before we begin? All right, let's have opening statements, please.
Yes, Your Honor. May I proceed?
Please.
Your Honor, opposing counsel, members of the jury, may it please the court. One car, one gun, one murder. On June 8th, 2024, Kennedy Lyon lost her life. On June 8th, 2024, Kennedy Lyon was murdered. She's dead because of a long-standing grudge. She's dead because of misplaced loyalty. She's dead because the defendant, Jordan Pike, wanted her dead. Jordan Pike, the social worker. Jordan Pike, the upstanding citizen. Jordan Pike, the loyal sister. Jordan Pike, the murderer. Today, members of the jury, the defendant is being charged with complicity to commit murder. What does this mean? I'll put it simply. It means that her brother, Brady Butch Pike, fired the shots, but Jordan gave him everything he needed to kill. Now, members of the jury, you have taken on one of the most solemn obligations of citizenship today, and your job is to find the truth, the facts. And this is not an easy task. This is not an easy task because memories fail us, recollections become shaded, and the evidence points in all different directions. But by the end of this trial, members of the jury, the evidence both points in one direction, and that is in the direction of the defendant, Jordan Pike. This case is about choices, and you will see the choices that Jordan made. Jordan gave Butch the car. Jordan gave Butch the gun, and Jordan gave Butch the chance. One car, one gun, one murder. Now we as the Commonwealth have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt 3 things. 1, that Brady Butch Pike intentionally killed Kennedy Lyon. 2, that Jordan Pike aided him by providing the car, the gun, or the directions. And 3, that Jordan Pike did so with the intention that Kennedy would die. That is the law. And by the end of this trial, there will be no reasonable doubt in your mind that this burden has been met. Today, you will hear from Kennedy Lyon's landlord, Billy Anderson, who will tell you how she saw Butch Pike arrive in Jordan's blue Mustang the day that Kennedy was shot. One car. You will hear from Detective Carmen Webster, who will tell you how she found that same car abandoned in Tennessee, with ammunition tied to Jordan's Glock 19 pistol. One gun. And you will hear from Skylar Boyle, who will tell you how Butch got rid of the gun the night of the shooting. Jordan's Glock 19 pistol, the murder weapon. One murder. And you will see the text. Jordan and Butch communicating the day that Kennedy was killed. Piece by piece, the evidence will show this. Brady Butch Pike fired the shots, but Jordan provided the means, the tools, and the intent. Members of the jury, as you look back over the evidence at the end of this trial, I want you to remember this one simple truth. One car, one gun, one murder. And that is why, at the end of this trial, we will ask you to return the only verdict that justice demands: guilty of complicity to murder. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Morse. Who's for the defense?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Duggins?
May it please the court, opposing counsel, members of the jury. Butch acted alone. The Commonwealth is trying to turn this tragedy into a partnership, a team-up, a murder conspiracy between siblings. But when you look at the evidence, not the guesses, not the assumptions, the true evidence, you will see one thing and one thing only. Butch Pike acted alone. My name is Mia Duggins, and I have the honor and privilege of representing this lady right here. This is Jordan Pike. She's a youth counselor who helps troubled children escape the same cycle of crime and addiction that destroyed the life of her brother. She is not a criminal, not an accomplice, not a helper. She's a social worker whose life was turned completely upside down when her brother Butch went and did something unthinkable. Let me explain. You will hear today that Butch Pike had every reason to go after Kennedy Lyon. Kennedy was the one that sent him to prison and ruined his life. And on June 8th, 2024, Butch went after her. Alone. You will hear that when Butch had Kennedy cornered on a front porch, pointing a gun directly at her, he screamed, "I have been waiting for this." Not "we have been waiting for this." Not "my sister and I have been waiting for this." I, Butch Pike, have been waiting for this. He acted alone. Police never found Butch. He got away. We don't even know where he is to this day. So they charged the person closest to him, his sister, Jordan. Now, as you heard in the Commonwealth's opening statement, today they are going to focus on the fact that the gun was Jordan's. Yeah, it was. And Butch stole that gun while Jordan was sleeping. Our defense will retrace Butch's steps from the moment he stole the gun to the moment he fled the scene. And we will do so with the help of 3 witnesses who each saw a piece of his path along the way, ultimately showing that he acted alone. When Butch took his first step outside of Jordan's front door, our first witness was there, Lou Robertson. She was parked on the street outside their house. And she watched as Butch snuck out, gun in hand, alone, and took one long look back at where Jordan was sleeping and drove off. Butch's next stop was at a gas station where he interacted with our second witness, Mr. Peyton Clark. Peyton will tell you that Butch pulled up to the gas station alone, that he told him he was planning on taking a long trip. Immediately after that, Butch drove directly to Kennedy Lyon, murdered her, and fled, leaving behind his kid sister, Jordan. Jordan will sit right here on the stand today and tell you that that night she was sleeping in a dark room, suffering from a migraine. When it hit the news that Kennedy had been killed, she immediately went to where she kept the gun. It was gone. She walked throughout her house. Butch was gone. She looked outside her window. Her car was gone. Jordan will tell you that she knew Butch hated Kennedy, but she never expected him to go after her. And she never imagined that he would kill her. And that is exactly what the Commonwealth must prove to you today. Not only do they have to prove that Jordan helped Butch commit this murder, but that she intended for Butch to harm Kennedy. And they must do so beyond a reasonable doubt. Now, I want to make something absolutely clear. That is the highest burden in our legal system today. But they will not be able to reach that burden, because the evidence today will paint one clear picture. Jordan cannot be complicit because Butch acted alone. Nothing the Commonwealth says today will show that Jordan aided, encouraged, or even knew what Butch was going to do. And at the end of this trial, we ask you to return the verdict supported by the true evidence. Not guilty. Thank you.
Thank you. Prosecution calls first witness, please.
Yes, Your Honor. The Commonwealth calls Detective Carmen Webster to the stand.
All witnesses have been sworn, correct? We don't have to do that. Yes, Your Honor. Okay. Proceed, please.
Please state your name for the record.
My name is Detective Carmen Webster.
And how are you involved in this case, Detective Webster?
I'm the detective assigned to the homicide of Kennedy Lyon.
How did you become a detective?
Well, growing up, I always loved chess, especially the aspect of analyzing people. I knew I wanted to pursue a career in that field, and that led me to law enforcement. In 2017, I was hired as a patrol officer, and 5 years later, I was promoted to detective. Every case reminds me of chess in a way. There's always an opponent trying to keep you from a checkmate.
Now, is your testimony here today based on sufficient facts and data?
It is, yes.
Is it the product of reliable principles and methods?
Yes,
And have you reliably applied these principles and methods to the facts of this case?
I have.
Well, let's move on to your investigation. What happened on the evening of June 8th, 2024?
Well, I was called to 2301 Elm Street in response to a shooting. When I got there, the scene had been secured and paramedics were in the process of clearing witnesses. The victim of the shooting was 28-year-old Kennedy Lyon. The house had been secured at that point, so I assigned officers to canvass the surrounding neighborhood, and I took an eyewitness, Billy Anderson, back to the police station for an interview.
And what information did you come across after this interview with Billy Anderson?
Anderson said that a man in a blue Mustang had gotten out of the car and shot the victim 3 times.
Objection, Your Honor. This violates Mattingly v. Commonwealth. There is no investigative hearsay exception, so these statements are being used for their truth value.
May I respond, Your Honor? Your Honor, these are not being used as investigative hearsay. This is going to this witness's subsequent action in today's case, and furthermore, according to Rule 703, expert witnesses can rely on otherwise inadmissible terms.
Your Honor, first of all, this witness is not an expert witness and has not been entered as so. And second of all, under Mattingly v. Commonwealth, this witness must show immediate action, which means that the witness says, Billy Anderson told me this, so I took this action. The second part of that has not been met.
May I respond, Your Honor? Certainly. Your Honor, this witness has laid sufficient foundation as to how they can be assumed as an expert in today's case, and according to that, she will give the foundation laid as to what her subsequent action was in her further testimony.
Your Honor, if I may, under Rule 702, there are 4 prongs that have to be met to be an expert witness. This attorney has met 3 of those prongs, but one of them has not been met, which is specialized knowledge.
May I respond, Your Honor? Your Honor, this witness being law enforcement, specifically a detective, that sufficiently fills that first prong A of Rule 702.
Your Honor, if I may, just because this witness is a police officer does not mean that she has any specialized knowledge in a given area.
May I respond? Your Honor, this witness being the lead detective in today's case, she would have to have specialized knowledge in order to make a conclusive investigation in today's case, and therefore she has sufficiently fulfilled all 4 prongs of Rule 702.
I think this has been very well argued. Thank you both very much. I'm overruling the objection. Thank you.
Yes, Your Honor.
So, what did you do after this interview with Billy Anderson?
Well, Anderson had mentioned the name Butch Pike in the interview, and she was correctly able to identify Butch. So I went and I looked up his criminal record, and I found that he was on parole. There was also a blue Mustang registered to his last known address, which indicated that he lived with the defendant.
And what else do you know about the suspect, Brady Butch Pike?
I'm familiar with Butch's name from my time in the narcotics division. He was a supplier and dealer of marijuana to the victim. The victim was responsible for information that led to a major drugs bust, and Butch was arrested as a result.
Now, did you conduct any other interviews during your investigation?
Yes, obviously I interviewed the defendant, Butch's sibling, and Skylar Boyle, one of Butch's close friends.
Well, let's start with your interview with the defendant. What did you find?
The defendant was not very forthcoming with information. I was able to determine that she had lent the car to Butch that night, but the defendant denied owning any sort of firearm.
So after this initial interview, Detective Webster, what did you think of the defendant's involvement in today's case?
With the information I had available to me at the time, I didn't consider the defendant a suspect initially. However, in hindsight, it's clear that the defendant is a much more calculating individual than I first saw. This is a classic example of a gambit, where one moves to lure their opponent into a false sense of security.
Now, let's move on to that second interview that you mentioned with Skylar Boyle. What did you find?
Boyle's information about the defendant's involvement didn't match what the defendant had told me at all.
How so?
Boyle mentioned several concerning statements the defendant made about shooting Kennedy Lyon. Boyle also provided the victim's address to the Pike siblings, which the defendant then looked up directions for. And finally, Boyle mentioned that the defendant owned both the gun and ammunition, and that they were both stored in the glove compartment of the Mustang. Allegedly, the defendant would remove both the gun and ammunition from the car before lending it to Butch. However, Boyle later confessed that Butch had shown up at their apartment with the gun, telling him to get rid of it.
So, what did you learn?
Well, according to Boyle, again, the defendant would remove both the gun and ammunition from the car before it was lent to Butch. However, those precautions were ignored for this one specific night. Had this been an accident, I would say the defendant had made a severe blunder. But the fact that these precautions were taken so frequently shows that there was some sort of gambit being played here.
Now, you mentioned some contradictions regarding evidence. Would you recognize copies of them if I showed them to you today?
I would, yes.
Your Honor, I'm approaching opposing counsel which were previously marked as Exhibits 5, 6, 7, and 9. Would Your Honor like a courtesy copy?
Yes, please.
May I approach the bench?
Yes.
May I approach the witness?
Yes.
Now, Detective Webster, what is this?
Well, this is an image of the gun we recovered from Boyle's apartment. This is an image of the Mustang that Jordan Pike owned. This is an image of the ammunition that we found in the glove compartment of that Mustang. And these are the text messages sent between Jordan Pike and Butch Pike on the night of the murder.
Do they all appear to be fair and accurate copies?
Yes, they do.
Have they been changed or altered in any way?
They have not.
With that, the Commonwealth moves to enter Exhibits 5, 6, 7, and 9 into evidence.
Any objection?
Yes, Your Honor. I am only objecting to Butch Pike's statements in Exhibit 9 under hearsay.
May I respond, Your Honor?
Certainly.
Your Honor, according to Rule 804A and Stipulation 4, this witness is deemed unavailable. Furthermore, according to Rule 804B3, this is statements against interest, and these statements are so contrary to this witness's proprietary interest that they open the witness up to criminal liability.
If I may, Your Honor. First of all, just because a witness is unavailable does not mean that that is an exception to hearsay. And second of all, they have not laid that foundation, and so that is still falling under case law Marshall v. Commonwealth, that they are trying to use these as co-conspirator statement texts. And so they have to prove that independently and establish that this was in furtherance of conspiracy, and they have not laid that foundation.
May I respond, Your Honor? Your Honor, these are not being used for co-conspirator statements. This is being used to aid Detective Webster's investigation. And going back to my original, this witness under Stipulation 4 is deemed unavailable, and corroborative evidence has been laid for that foundation.
Your Honor, if I may, we then request a limiting instruction for the jury that they may only consider the text for the effect on the listener and not for their truth value.
Any objection to that?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, with that stipulation, we will allow the exhibit in, but certainly with limited use.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Permission to publish to the jury?
Yes.
Now, Detective Webster, let's start with Exhibit 5. What contradictions did you find there?
Well, this Glock 19, Jordan's gun, was given to Boyle by Butch Pike. Ballistics show that 3 rounds had been fired from it. At this point, Jordan had denied owning a firearm to begin with.
And what about Exhibits 6 and 7?
Well, the ammunition in the Mustang further show issues with the defendant's statement, with ballistics confirming at this point that the gun and ammunition were the murder weapon.
And finally, what contradictions did you find regarding Exhibit 9?
Well, the defendant had actually told me during that interview that there was no contact between them and Butch Pike that night. However, these text messages, clearly sent on the night of the murder, directly contradict this. The content of these messages is also incriminating, with Jordan telling Butch, ride or die. Further, Boyle's interaction with Butch later that night shows issues with the defendant's statement, with Butch telling Boyle, if anyone asks, I want you to tell them that Jordan had nothing to do with this.
Now, with all of that considered, Detective Webster, what is your final conclusion in today's case?
Well, Butch had lived in the defendant's house, driven the defendant's car, used the defendant's gun, and texted the defendant updates. It's clear that Butch Pike and Jordan Pike were aligned when it came to Kennedy Line, and it's clear that Butch made use of resources that only the defendant had access to.
No further questions, Your Honor. I just asked to approach in order to retrieve my exhibits.
Certainly. Ms. Morse. I'm sorry. Tell me your name again. I'm sorry.
Rachel Thompson.
Thompson. Shouldn't let me get away with that. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Ms. Thompson. Go ahead.
May I proceed?
Yes, please.
Good Good afternoon, Detective. I want to talk to you about two eyewitnesses in this case. Now, sitting over here is Lou Robertson, correct?
That looks to be Lou, yes.
Now, you became aware from your investigation that Lou Robertson directly saw Butch Pike walking out of my client's house with a gun, didn't you?
I was aware that Robertson had allegedly seen Butch Pike walk out of the defendant's house. However, considering that Robertson's past investigations have been sloppy and unprofessional,
No, Detective, I'm not.
Objection, Your Honor. I just asked the opposing counsel allow the witness to completely answer the question.
Yes, please let her first.
Were you finished?
Why don't you ask him the question again, and then we can let her start.
Yes or no, you did become aware that Lou Robertson did see Butch Pike walking out of my client's house with a gun.
Again, as I was saying, as Robertson's investigations in the past have been unprofessional, I deemed it more pertinent to investigate other leads, and I chose to further my investigation in other means, yes.
Now, you never interviewed Lou Robertson, did you?
No, I never interviewed Lou Robertson. I was more preoccupied by the fact that Robertson had impersonated a police officer over the course of their investigation, so I filled out all the appropriate paperwork and I sent that to the Board of Licensure.
Oh, that is a yes to my question.
Yes, it is.
And you never sent any other officers out to the neighbors of the Pikes to see if they saw anyone sneaking out of my client's house with a gun, did you?
No, I didn't. All of my officers were preoccupied following more pertinent leads. We had other eyewitness sightings of Butch Pike at that time, so my officers were pursuing those leads.
So you didn't follow all the leads, did you?
No, I didn't follow all the leads. In an ideal world, I would have liked to be able to, but this is the real world. I am limited by time, I am limited by people, I am limited by resources. So when it comes to that, I have to allocate those resources to the places where they should be going, which is in this case, investigating eyewitness leads of Butch Pike.
Now, Lou Robertson is here to testify for the defense, correct?
I'm aware of that. I think I heard something about Robertson testifying free of charge, which shocked me, to be honest, as Robertson is a private investigator.
So when she gets up on the stand, it will be the first time that you hear what she saw, correct?
That's true. It will be the first time.
All right, so let's work our way to that second eyewitness, Peyton Clark. Now, this is the blue Ford Mustang that Butch Pike got away in, correct?
That's correct, yes.
And you searched this car, right?
I did search the car. I took pictures of everything inside. Those are all the relevant exhibits today.
And you found a receipt in this car, didn't you?
I believe that was one of the artifacts, yes.
All right, so let's take a look at that receipt. Your Honor, let the record reflect that I am approaching opposing counsel with a copy of Exhibit 8. May I approach?
Thanks.
May I approach the witness? Now, Detective, that is that receipt that you found in that car, correct?
That's correct, yes.
And is it a fair and accurate copy?
I would say so.
Your Honor, at this time, the defense moves to enter Exhibit 8 into evidence.
Any objection?
No objections, Your Honor.
All right, Exhibit 8 will come into the record.
May I publish to the jury?
Yes, please.
Now, Detective, can you read the date at the top of that receipt for me?
I believe it says 6-8-24.
So, June 8th, 2024.
That's correct, yes.
Now, that's the date that Butch Pike killed Kendi Lyon, isn't it?
Exactly.
So, that means that this receipt places this car at the Speedy Spout gas station the night of the murder, doesn't it?
You would be correct with that, yes.
All right, so that second eyewitness, Peyton Clark, he worked at the Speedy Spout gas station that night, didn't he?
He did.
And you received a reprimand for not interviewing him, didn't you?
Yes, I believe that's one of 2 reprimands I've received over the course of my almost 5 years of my career as a detective.
So that is a yes to my question.
Yes.
Now, this young man over here with the shaggy-looking hair is Peyton Clark, isn't he?
That's correct.
Now, now, Peyton Clark is here to testify for the defense here today, isn't he?
That's what I've been aware of, yes.
So when he gets up on the stand, just like you are now, it will be the first time that you hear what he saw that night.
That's true. It will be the first time I hear what he saw that night. However, I was aware of a record between the defendant and Peyton Clark, a phone call they had. And looking through that phone call, I found that it seemed that Clark would be willing to do almost anything to get the defendant off the stand. And when you have a witness like that, obviously there's a lot of resources that you have to devote to getting unbiased testimony. And that is exactly why we found it not pertinent to interview the witness directly, rather to go for leads that were more pertinent to the case, such as eyewitness sightings, the eyewitness sighting of Billy Anderson, for example. That was a key witness I interviewed.
Now, Detective, I wasn't asking you about that phone call. You never spoke to Peyton Clark, did you? Yes or no?
Not directly, no.
Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
Thank you. Any redirect?
No, redirect, Your Honor. I just ask that the witness be allowed to step down.
Sure. Thank you.
Your Honor, may I tender the exhibit to the bench?
Sure. Thank you. Next witness.
Your Honor, the prosecution calls Billy Anderson to the stand. May I proceed?
Yes, please. Ms.
Take
Capp?
one. Yes.
Okay, go for it.
Good afternoon. Could you please introduce yourself to the members of the jury?
My name is Billy Anderson. I'm a proud Sagittarius rising, and I've lived in Scarborough for all of my 67 years.
Ms. Anderson, what do you do for a living?
Well, up until the fall of 2022, when I retired, I worked as a victim advocate for New Dawn House, which is a nonprofit organization offering support for victims of crimes. I really loved my job, almost as much as I love my pet amethyst crystal Bertha.
And how did this job affect you?
It was really stressful, and it definitely wore on me. Eventually, I inherited my childhood home, and through my experience as a victim advocate, I understand how hard it can be for victims, especially those with criminal records of their own, to find access to jobs or housing and just fulfill basic needs. I knew there was more I could be doing, so I decided to open up space in my own home for victims who didn't have access to housing. Many landlords are hesitant to rent to people with criminal records, even victims, which is really a shame.
Now, what was your experience with having victims as tenants?
Despite what many may think, the majority of my tenants were respectful and rule-following, just grateful for the opportunity to make a better life for themselves. Most of them only stayed with me for a month or so, but during that time I was able to forge connections with many of them, teaching them how to cook, how to open checking accounts, and preparing them for job interviews. I think they really benefited from the calming aroma of my patchouli candles. Sometimes I would even know a tenant before they came to stay with me. That was the case with Kennedy Lyon.
Ms. Anderson, who is Kennedy Lyon?
Kennedy was my tenant, but before that I knew her through the system. She was a success story, able to complete rehab. After her release, when her parents cut her off, she came to live with me. Initially, I was hesitant to rent to Kennedy, but she soon proved her sincerity to put her past behind her. Unfortunately, she only lived with me for a week before she was murdered.
Now, I'd like to talk about the night of June 8th, 2024. What happened on that day?
I got up, I drew my daily tarot card, the Chariot, but I drew it in reverse, signifying aggression and loss of control. Ominous. That night, Kenny and I were sitting on the front porch, sipping on some of my delicious lemonade, and She was telling me about her plans for the future. I was just so proud of her for turning her life around. We ran out of lemonade at around 8:30, and I went inside to make some more.
What could you see from inside the house?
My house is a small country-style home with the kitchen as the central focus. I like collecting candles and crystals to put on the windowsills. The kitchen window is adjacent to the front porch, so I could see the entire swing very easily. The light above the porch isn't too strong. I prefer a natural ambiance as opposed to harsh fluorescent lighting, but you could still see pretty clearly at night.
Did you happen to see anything unusual?
Unfortunately, yes. While I was making some of my organic homemade lemonade, nothing with any of those chemicals you find in stores, I looked out the window and I saw a blue Mustang pull up. I'd seen cars like it before, but never in the area.
And did you see anyone walk out from the car?
Yes, I watched a man walk out and approach Kennedy with a face I can only describe as full of rage. She started to say, "Butch Pike, how did you," before she was cut off with, "Shut up, snitch. I've been waiting for this. And Jordan said to give you this." I was so taken aback. 10 minutes ago we'd been sitting on the porch, sipping on lemonade.
And Miss Anderson, what happened next?
I called 911. And then I heard several piercing gunshots. I ducked down and hid until I heard the man walk off and drive away. I went out to Kennedy. She was on the ground. There was blood everywhere, staining her stomach and chest. She started to say something that sounded like Jordan.
Miss Anderson?
Objection, Your Honor, to the rule of completeness under Rule 106. The rule of completeness says that if a party introduces all or part of a writing or recorded statement, an adverse party may require the introduction at that time of any part that in fairness ought to be considered at the same time. Now, Ms. Anderson just said that Kennedy may have said the word Jordan. However, that is not entirely true. In Ms. Anderson's affidavit, it specifically says, after the car drove off, I got up and described to the 911 operator what I could see. Not only do we have that transcript, but further on in her affidavit, it says Kennedy tried to say something, but it was hard to make out. It sounded like hold on, or burden, or Jordan. Now, Exhibit 2 is that 911 transcript, and I ask that if they say that this phrase could have been Jordan, that they bring all evidence forward that it may possibly have been.
Any response?
Your Honor, this witness did not say that she for sure heard Jordan. As opposing counsel has said, she may have confused the statement for something else. She's saying this may have been Jordan, and this does not violate the rule of completeness.
Anything further?
Yes, Your Honor. Once again, the rule of completeness says that if an adverse party requires any extra information about this, then we may require them to introduce that evidence at that time.
May I respond, Your Honor?
Yeah.
Your Honor, I feel that all the evidence has been laid out for the jury to interpret. She said she did not definitively say that she heard Jordan. She said she heard something that sounded like Jordan, which is consistent with her statements.
I'll sustain the objection. I think you can go ahead and just make sure that the jury understands that there were 3 possible comments made.
Yes,
So
Your Honor.
how do you propose to do that?
Your Honor, I just ask that the witness say that instead of just saying Jordan.
Okay. Sustained.
Yes, Your Honor.
If you ask the question.
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Anderson, what do you think Kennedy could have said that night?
She could have said hold on or burden, but she also could have said Jordan.
Now, Ms. Anderson, did you know Jordan Pike prior to June 8th, 2024?
Actually, I did. We'd had a few work-related encounters before. I remember one specifically. In 2022, we were at the same awards ceremony. We chatted, bonded over our shared love of crystals. She made a comment that stood out to me, that she had a sibling that had recently gotten in trouble with a snitch, and that she hoped snitches would get what they deserved. I thought the comment was strange, but I didn't think much of it at the time.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Cross-examine.
Yes, Your Honor.
Good afternoon, Miss Anderson. I'm sorry for the loss of your friend, but I'm going to have to ask you some questions about Butch Pike, all right? Now, before that night, you did not know Butch Pike, did you?
No, I didn't.
You didn't know of any connection between Butch Pike and Kennedy Lyon?
Not really.
But you did know that Kennedy Lyon had been involved in the drug scene, right?
I knew at one point I had acted as her victim advocate, actually, but I also knew that she had gone to rehab and that she had restarted her life. I watched it happen. She lived with me, and I saw her. I saw how much better she had become.
Miss Anderson, I'm not trying to attack Kennedy. I'm just asking if you knew that she had been involved in the drug scene, yes or no?
I did know a couple of years ago, yes.
And you knew that because of her arrest, it led to the arrest of other drug dealers, right?
Yes.
Now, you worked as a victim's rights advocate before you retired, didn't you?
I did.
And because of that, you know that the word snitch often refers to people who cooperate with the police.
Yes.
Objection, Your Honor, calls for speculation.
Your Honor, speculation. This witness is allowed to use her rationally based perception to answer that. If she feels that she does not know the answer to that, then she can say she is not sure, but she just said that yes, based on her past knowledge, as a victim's rights advocate, she feels that that is usually the case.
May I respond, Your Honor?
Sure.
Your Honor, she would not be able to testify as in every single scenario and what snitch was referring to. This line of questioning is calling for speculation. She cannot talk on this topic.
Your Honor, I did not ask this witness if every case means that someone who cooperates with police is called a snitch. I'm just asking that in her experience, she knows this to be to happen on occasion.
Overruled. Thank you.
Yes, Your Honor. So I'll ask you again. People who cooperate with police are often referred to as snitches, right?
They can be, yes.
And this is the word that you heard Butch Pike yell at Kennedy, wasn't it?
Yes. I heard him say, "Shut up, snitch. I've been waiting for this."
Well, look into that statement, I've been waiting for this. Or, well, he also said, I've been waiting for this, right?
Yes.
You didn't hear him say, we have been waiting for this, did you?
No, but I heard him say, "Jordan said to give you this."
Now, we'll get back to that statement here in a minute. But
Objection, Your Honor, improper attorney sidebar.
I'm sorry?
Improper attorney sidebar.
Tell me what has happened here.
This attorney is speaking directly to the jury.
Oh, I'm sorry. I did not understand what you're saying. Yes, please.
Your Honor, under Kentucky high school mock trial rules, that is not a valid objection. If they have a specific rule number they would like to cite, then they can object, but a sidebar itself is not a legal objection.
Your Honor,
Is there anything on the rules about that? Is there anything in the mock trial rules about that?
I don't believe that in the rules of competition that is not clarified as an actual objection.
Okay. Overruled. Go ahead.
So, just to be clear, Butch came alone that night, didn't he?
Yes.
Now, again, I'm sorry, but we're going to have to talk about the shooting. You saw it through your window, correct?
I did, yes.
And you had a clear look at Butch's face?
I saw him, yes.
Now, you described his glare as pure and utter rage, didn't you?
Yes.
All right, well, now I want to talk about later that night. Detective Webster here came and interviewed you, didn't she?
She did, yes, after the shooting.
I want to talk to you about that interview. I'm not asking you if these things are true, only if you said them to the detective, all right? So, yes or no, you told Detective Webster that Kennedy Lyon was your tenant.
I did.
And then you told Detective Webster that a man with a gun came onto your porch.
Yes, and I told her that it was Butch Pike and that I had heard him referred to as that and that he shot Kennedy.
That's right. You also said that when Kennedy Lyon said Butch Pike, the shooter responded with, "Shut up, snitch," didn't you?
Yes.
And then you said that the man fired 3 shots and fled in a Mustang, correct?
He did.
And those are the only facts that you told Detective Webster that night, weren't they?
Yes.
However, you've just mentioned a few other statements that you never told Detective Webster, haven't you?
No, I don't believe I have.
Well, now, you later tried to tell Detective Webster that a suspicious delivery driver was staring at Kennedy, didn't you?
At a later date, after the interview, at the time, I just witnessed a shooting. I was in shock and the trauma still follows me. I remembered it later and contacted Detective Webster.
Now, when you tried to contact Detective Webster, you never actually had a conversation with her, did you?
I left her a voicemail.
Well, one of the things that you tried to come back with is the statement, Jordan said to give you this, wasn't it?
Yes.
Let's talk about this statement, Jordan said to give you this. You only remembered this statement after undergoing hypnosis, correct?
Yes.
Your Honor, let the record reflect I will be referring to this witness's affidavit, specifically the last page. May I approach the witness?
Certainly.
Now, this is the affidavit that you were asked to prepare after undergoing hypnosis, correct?
I believe so.
Now, could you read the date for me down here at the bottom?
This second day of September 2025.
September 2nd, 2025. Now, that is 15 months after the shooting, isn't it?
It is.
So it took you 1 year, 3 months, and hypnosis before you remembered any of these new facts?
No, it did not.
It took you 1 year, 3 months, and hypnosis before you told anyone these new facts?
No.
Is that your sworn testimony today?
I sent Detective Webster an a voicemail about a month or so after the investigation was ongoing, and it was before this affidavit.
You do not know if Detective Webster actually listened to that voicemail, did you?
Objection, Your Honor, calls for speculation.
Your Honor, I just asked this witness whether or not she knows that Detective Webster listened to this voicemail. That does not call for speculation.
Your Honor, may I respond? Your Honor, she would be unable to speak on this topic as the fact that if Detective Webster listened to this voicemail or didn't listen to this voicemail is extremely factual in this case, and she cannot speak on whether or not she knows whether or not Detective Webster listened to it.
Your Honor, I did not ask her if Detective Webster listened to this voicemail. I asked whether or not she knew if Detective Webster listened to this voicemail.
I'll overrule the objection, but let's be careful about that.
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead, please.
So you never actually had an in-person conversation with Detective Webster about anything you learned under hypnosis, did you?
No, I left her a voicemail.
But she did not call you back, did she?
No, she did not.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Any redirect?
No, Your Honor. I just ask that the witness be allowed to step down from the stand.
Certainly. Thank you. I believe the one more witness.
Yes, Your Honor. The Commonwealth calls Skylar Boyle to the stand. May I proceed, Your Honor?
Please.
Please introduce yourself for the members of the jury.
My name is Skylar Boyle.
Mr. Boyle, can you explain your background for the court?
Well, my mother moved from New Jersey to Kentucky when I was 14. I've never been a huge fan of the South, but I stuck to my roots. Bacon and stuff.
Now, do you know Butch Pike?
Yeah. I started working at this place called Savory Celebrations. I wanted to open up my own business making cakes and Italian pastries, but this was the best I could find. I met Butch working catering jobs. He was nice enough, and he introduced me to his sister Jordan.
So, who is Jordan Pike?
Jordan is Butch's sister. Jordan is fine. A little too close with Butch if you ask me. They would always tell each other, ride or die. Seemed a little weird.
Objection, Your Honor, to improper opinion. This is a lay witness, and he is confounded to Rule 701. He's allowed to tell us exactly what he saw, but once he starts saying that was weird, he is giving an opinion for the jury, and these facts are for the jury to make a decision on, not for this witness to connect the dots.
Your Honor, this witness is using his rationally based perception as to situations he observed between Butch and Jordan, being their friend. Therefore, he is not making a definitive opinion. He is simply stating what he perceived based on situations he was in.
Your Honor, if I may, I'm not objecting to speculation. This is an improper opinion. He is giving an opinion to the jury on how he interpreted the evidence and the facts that he saw. He is simply allowed to say what he saw and nothing more.
May I respond, Your Honor?
Yes.
Opinions under Rule 701 by lay witnesses are limited to those observed under the witness's rationally based perception, which Mr. Boyle would be able to use in this case.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, Your Honor.
So, what do you mean by that, Mr. Boyle?
Look, not to be screwy or nothing, but those two were close. I didn't realize how serious it was until one time I jokingly said, "Ride or die to Butch." Oof, that didn't go over too well. The phrase was clearly for Butch and Jordan only.
Now, do you know a person by the name of Kennedy Lyon?
Yeah, Kennedy who also worked catering events with us. I didn't know her too well, but she was always hanging around Butch. To be honest, she wasn't my piece of the pie. When I was around Butch, everyone was happy. We had fun. When Kennedy entered the picture, everything changed.
What do you mean by that?
Well, come to find out, Kennedy and Butch were drug dealers. Kennedy ended up going down bad and things became a real mess. It was all over the news. Butch was one of Kennedy's suppliers, so when the feds got access to Kennedy's phone, Butch was arrested too. Wild stuff.
Mr. Boyle, do you know the specifics of Butch's arrest or sentencing?
Not really. I try to mind my own business. Stick to the cakes and cannolis, you know? All I know is Butch took a plea and they threw him in the slammer.
Mr. Boyle, did you have a relationship with Butch Pike after he got out of prison?
Well, I know it sounds cliche, but prison changed Butch. He was no longer the man I knew. He was sullen and angry, always going on and on about how he hated Kennedy Lyon.
Mr. Boyle, how is your relationship with Jordan after Butch got out of prison?
I mean, I'd see Jordan around, usually when I was with Butch. We'd sit and talk together. Man, you would have thought she would have been uplifting, but she was just as obsessed with Kennedy Lyon as Butch. She even had a name to refer to her, the Snitch. Real charming, huh?
What gave you that impression about Jordan?
It was constant talk about Kennedy. Long rants about how it wasn't fair that Butch got prison and Kennedy got rehab. I was tired of it. My nonna always told me, if you can't say anything nice, you got to sip it. The conversations about Kennedy always put me on edge.
Now, Mr. Boyle, how would Kennedy come up in conversation?
Butch, Jordan, and I like to watch these mobster shows and true crime. One night on June 8th, we were watching a specific episode about a drug dealer who shot an informant. Throughout the episode, Butch and Jordan were calling Kennedy Lyon a snitch.
What were they saying, Mr. Boyle?
Well, I remember Jordan saying, "Revenge on a snitch? What an idea." Then when the informant in the show was shot, Jordan turned to Butch and said, "Hey Butch, maybe you'll bump into Kennedy sometime," with a wink. It made me super uncomfortable, more than making tomato sauce with my family.
And Mr. Boyle, how did Butch react to this comment?
He got this stone cold look on his face and said, "Don't tempt me. I want it out of there."
So what was your reaction to this exchange?
Well, it made me nervous. Real nervous. I ain't never seen Butch's usual joking demeanor turn dark so fast, even after the slammer. Then the words just started coming out and I couldn't stop them. I told Butch and Jordan that Kennedy Lyon was back in town. Sometimes I wish I never would have opened my big fat mouth.
So when you brought that up, Mr. Boyle, how did Butch react?
Not well. His face turned purple, a shade I ain't never seen before.
And how did Jordan react to all of this?
Jordan said, "I know you didn't say that snitch was back in town," referring to Kennedy. Then Jordan started asking about Kennedy's address, asking this and that, asking over and over. It was like she was obsessed. I finally caved and told the brothers the address. It was a mess.
So did Jordan or Butch save the address, Mr. Boyle?
Yeah, Butch isn't good with technology, so Jordan put Kennedy's address into her phone so Butch would know where not to go. Which I thought was wicked weird because I ain't never put an address into my phone that I didn't plan on going to.
And now, was that the end of all the talk about Kennedy?
No. Things went from bad to worse. For the rest of the episode, all Butch and Jordan could talk about was Kennedy Lyon and shooting snitches. It made me super uncomfortable. so I had to bounce.
So was that the last time you saw Butch Pike that evening?
No. Later that night, I got a call from Butch saying he was pulling up to my place, and the dude was speaking wicked weird, so I went outside to see what was going on.
What happened when Butch arrived?
Butch pulled up to my place in Jordan's blue Mustang like normal, but as he got closer, I realized Butch was covered in blood. You've gotta believe me, I jumped a foot in the air. Butch has blood all over his chest and arms, so I asked him what was going on.
And Mr. Boyle, did Butch answer your question?
No. Instead of answering, he just opened up the glove compartment and shoved a gun to my hands. Then he started saying that it was better if I didn't know what was going on, and that if I just got rid of the gun. I was freaking when I looked down, and the gun in my hands was Jordan's.
Mr. Boyle, how did you know it was Jordan's gun?
You've got to believe me, I'd recognize that gun anywhere. Jordan always made sure to take the gun out of the car before Butch borrowed it. Something about Butch's previous criminal charges. I'd seen that gun 1,000,000 times, and now I was holding it in my own hands.
So Mr. Boyle, did you ask Butch about the gun?
Yeah, of course. But Butch got all weird and panicky, more so than ever before. Then he started saying that if anyone asked, Jordan had nothing to do with this, and that he didn't want Jordan getting into any trouble. He never answered me if the gun was Jordan's, but I'm certain it was. Why else would he say all that? Then he sped off in Jordan's blue Mustang, leaving me shaking in the dust.
Mr. Boyle, how did you feel?
Well, I freaked. This sort of thing doesn't happen, not even in Jersey. Then it clicked when I left the Pike house earlier that night. Butch and Jordan were still going on and on about Kennedy lying and shooting snitches. Just as I started to thinking I knew what was going on, bam! Kennedy, the snitch, turned up dead.
So Mr. Boyle, what did you do with Jordan's gun?
I did the only thing I could do, you know? I shoved it under my bed and tried to forget about it. Can you blame me?
Did you hear from Jordan at all that night?
Yeah, later that night I got a call from Jordan, and at this point I was pretty heated. So I asked her straight up, what did Butch do?
And Mr. Boyle, how did Jordan respond?
Well, instead of answering, the schmuck just told me to forget about all the earlier Kennedy talk, and hung up right then and there.
So how did you feel?
Horrible. I didn't do nothing, and now I was caught up in the middle of this mess. I thought Jordan would help, but instead, she was just covering up Butch's actions, dismissing my
Objection,
worries.
Your Honor. This is once again an improper opinion. Today, the jury is here to decide if Jordan was involved in this murder, and for Mr. Boyle to say Jordan was definitively covering up Butch's actions, that is going into improper lay witness testimony. That is for the jury to decide.
Your Honor, as I stated before, under Rule 701, lay witnesses are only allowed to testify to things that fall under their rationally based perception. In this case, this witness would be able to rationally perceive that Jordan was covering up Butch's actions from the "don't worry about it and forget about it" comment.
Your Honor, if I may, I do agree that they can give partial of an opinion under 701, but this is going into a legal conclusion. The jury is here today to decide if Jordan helped commit this murder. Mr. Boyle cannot say definitively if Jordan helped cover up tracks or commit this murder. That is a legal conclusion and not for Mr. Boyle to decide.
Your Honor, stating whether Jordan was covering up Butch's tracks and helping commit the murder are two very different things, Your Honor. We are simply using this rationally based perception on behalf of this witness to show that Jordan was covering up Butch's actions by telling Skylar to forget about it.
This is the ultimate question in this case, so I'll sustain the objection.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor. So, Mr. Boyle, could you continue with how you felt?
As I was saying, I didn't feel good. Butch flees town, and somehow the feds blame me? Sometimes I wish my old ma would have just stayed in Jersey.
Now, Mr. Boyle, how did you acquire all this information?
I was there the night of the murder. I saw Butch and Jordan. I saw Jordan's gun. It's pretty clear to me from what I saw.
Thank you, Mr. Boyle. Your Honor, I have no further questions.
Cross-examine.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Devens.
Good afternoon, Mr. Boyle. Now, you're here today because you're on a plea deal that says you have to come and testify, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
And you understood that if prosecutors would have instead charged you with complicity to murder, you could be facing life in prison, right?
I could, which is why it's a good thing that the prosecutors didn't want to charge me with complicity to murder.
But instead of facing life in prison, you're on probation, where you don't have to set foot in jail again. Isn't that right?
That's correct.
But if you don't cooperate with these prosecutors over here testifying against Jordan Pike, you could go back to prison, couldn't you?
Objection, improper opinion by lay witness under Rule 701.
Your Honor, if I may, I'm simply asking this witness about his own plea deal and the terms that he accepted. That is not asking for an improper opinion or speculation of any kind. He can confirm or deny.
Anything further?
Your Honor, speculating into the nature of a hypothetical result of today's trial, if Mr. Boyle were to not listen to the prosecutors, would require sufficient legal knowledge that would be specialized and unavailable to lay witnesses such as himself under Rule 701.
Overruled.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor. So, if you don't cooperate with these prosecutors over here and testify against Jordan Pike, you could go back to prison, couldn't you?
Yeah, I could.
But if you play ball with these prosecutors testifying against my client, your conviction could even be wiped clean with an expungement. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, that was a term of the agreement.
So if I have this correct, your freedom depends on pointing the finger at Jordan Pike, doesn't it?
It depends on testifying here
Objection,
today.
argumentative.
Your Honor, this is cross-examination.
Your Honor, I would respond that the phrase pointing a finger has less prejudicial means, and this is simply argumentative as it is requiring a very objective answer, a subjective answer from the witness.
This is cross-examination.
Yes, Your Honor.
Overruled. Go ahead.
So I'll ask again. You'd agree with me that your freedom depends on pointing the finger at Jordan Pike, doesn't it?
Yeah, it depends on testifying here today.
Now I want to talk a little bit about Kennedy and Butch. The two were connected through drug dealing, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
And when Kennedy was arrested, it wasn't long after that Butch was arrested too, correct?
Yeah.
It was pretty well known that Butch blamed Kennedy for that arrest, right?
Yeah, most definitely he did.
Now I want to talk about when Butch got out of prison. He could not stop talking about Kennedy, could he?
No, he couldn't.
He brought her up constantly, right?
Oh, most definitely.
Even calling her a snitch, correct?
Yeah, he and Jordan both called her a snitch.
But specifically right now, I'm talking about Butch. Butch called her a snitch, isn't that true?
Yeah, as I said, yeah, he did.
And you didn't expect to see Kennedy back in town that day, did you?
No, I didn't. It was pretty surprising, like seeing a ghost of Christmas past or something.
But you were the one that informed Butch that Kennedy was back, weren't you?
Yeah, I was flustered, and, me and Butch are good pals. He was like the cream to my cannoli, so I had to tell him.
And like you said on direct examination, when you said Kennedy's name, Butch's face turned a different color, didn't it?
It sure did.
Why don't you tell the jury exactly what color Butch's face turned?
I'd say a magenta purple.
That's right. It was a shade of purple you had never seen before. Isn't that true?
Yeah, that's right.
Now I want to talk a little bit about this gun. Someone that angry should not have access to a gun, should they?
Oh, most definitely not.
But you had been at Jordan's house multiple times to see her remove the gun from the car, correct?
Yeah, she almost always did.
Jordan made a habit of removing this gun when Butch would borrow the car. Isn't that right?
Yeah, she sure did.
And when Butch pulled up to your apartment that night, covered in blood, you saw that same gun, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I did see Jordan's gun.
And still to this day, your first thought when seeing that gun was that Jordan was not involved. Isn't that true?
Yeah, I'd say it caught me by surprise, thinking Jordan's gun in Butch's arms, when Jordan always made sure to take the gun out of the car.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have no further questions at this time.
Any redirect?
No, Your Honor, I just ask that the witness be allowed to step down.
That's fine. Thank you very much. I believe that closes the prosecution's case. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor. With that, the Commonwealth rests its case in chief.
Okay. Do we want to take about a 5-minute break? Maybe everybody take a deep breath outside where it's
Yes,
not
Your
quite so
Honor.
Yes, Your Honor. Okay, see you in about 5 minutes. Welcome back. Everybody back and ready? All right,
Your Honor.
All right, we're ready for the defense case. If you'd call your first witness, please.
Yes, Your Honor. The defense calls Lou Robertson to the stand. Can you proceed?
Yes, Ms. Allison, go ahead.
You state your name for the court,
Lucinda Robertson. Please, call me Lou.
and what do you do for a living?
For the past 10, 11 years, I was Lou Robertson, private eye. Before that, I was Lou Robertson of the Scarborough Police Department.
Well, why are you here today?
To save the day.
And how do you plan to do that?
By telling you that shortly before Kennedy Line was shot and killed, I saw Butch Pike after long.
Well, where did you see this?
The Pike residence. I saw Butch Pike leave the house holding a gun and giving one long look at the house before leaving in a Mustang.
Now, you said that you've been a private investigator and a police officer before that. What is the difference between the two?
Pays better, fewer rules. A cop arrests you for breaking the law. I just take a picture of you and sell it to your ex.
Alright, so why were you on the Pike Street that night?
Total coincidence. A client hired me to see if her husband was two-timing her with the lady down the street. So I set up a stakeout. Binoculars, camera, zoom lens, a couple bags of Doritos, and some monsters. Standard surveillance kit.
Is this a typical job for private investigators?
Pretty much. Cheating spouses, missing people, finding people the cops can't or won't.
Well, let's talk about you being on the street where the Pikes live. What can you tell us about it?
Meyer Lane, beautiful neighborhood. Lots of houses, which meant lots of driveways, so plenty of curb parking to blend right in.
Your Honor, let the record reflect I'm approaching opposing counsel with a copy of Exhibit 11. May I approach?
Sure.
May I approach the witness?
Yes, thank you.
Do you recognize this?
This is the drawing of Meyer Lane that I created.
Is it a fair and accurate copy?
Yep,
And do you believe that using this document will help you explain your testimony to the jury?
absolutely.
Your Honor, the parties have stipulated authenticity, so at this time the defense moves to enter Exhibit 11 into evidence and publish to the jury.
Any objection?
Yes, Your Honor, as to hearsay.
Your Honor, for something to be considered hearsay, there must be a statement made. There is no statement being made.
Your Honor, documents are still out of court, being used for the truth of the matter asserted, and, yes.
Overruled. Yes, Your Honor.
May I publish to the jury?
Yes.
Now, holding up this drawing, can you explain to us what you were able to see?
Of course. Everything in dark here is either the road or the driveways. 3434 Meyer Lane is where the husband's mistress lived. Right next to it is the Pike residence. That circle is where a cool Mustang was parked all day. Down here, that's me. The line represents my line of sight.
Did anything throughout the day block your line of sight?
Nope, not a thing.
And how was the lighting?
Great. You could have filmed a commercial that day.
Well, let's talk about that day. What time did you start your stakeout?
2 early, 8 a.m.
And what generally happened throughout the day?
Normal suburb stuff. Neighbors mowing the lawn, mailman coming by. Nothing that screamed murder plot.
Did anyone stand out to you during this time?
Yes, 2 people came and went from the Pike residence. This becomes important later. At the time it didn't matter, but at night, that's when things got interesting.
And how did things get interesting that night?
Well, the husband finally showed up for his rendezvous with Miss Hot Stuff, so I got out my camera. Big zoom lens attached, taking pictures. Then all of a sudden, a man walks out of the Pike residence holding a gun. I later learned this to be Butch Pike.
Now, did you know Butch Pike at the time?
I couldn't tell you Butch Pike from Butch Cassidy or the Sundance Kid. All I knew, dude had a gun.
So you see a man with a gun. What did you see him do?
He was tiptoeing around. Listen, I've been on a billion stakeouts. I know the difference between casual and sneaky. He was doing that tiptoe you do when you don't want to wake up anyone else in the house. He was sneaky.
What was going through your mind at this moment?
I was like, oh crap, he's gonna come for me. So I throw my camera on my bag of Doritos, hand on the ignition ready to floor it if he came after me. He didn't.
So what did he do instead?
He tiptoed around the Mustang, looking back on the house for a long time.
Now, you said that you did not know Butch Pike at the time. What changed?
Well, I was treating myself to some Long John Silvers, and that's when a news report pops up. A woman had been shot and killed. The shooter's photo was revealed. Butch Pike. Same guy I saw from before. However, 2 other photos were revealed. Jordan Pike, who I didn't know and didn't care, but also Skylar's photo was revealed. And I saw her earlier.
And when did you see Skylar Boyle?
I saw him at the Pike residence earlier that morning. But I'm sitting there cleaning up my mess thinking, what about the other guy I saw that day? Who's this?
Now, Miss Robertson, I have to ask, why did you care?
Because if I could solve this case before the detective, I could rub her nose in it.
And why would you want to do that?
Let's just say she doesn't like me. I don't like her.
Objection, more prejudicial than probative, Your Honor.
Your Honor, for something to be more prejudicial than probative, it has to be substantially more prejudicial than probative. Here, Ms. Robertson is simply just talking about why she wanted to investigate. That is not more prejudicial than it is probative.
Your Honor, her comments on Detective Webster are extremely substantially outweigh the probative effect in today's case, and is simply meant to prejudice the jury against Detective Webster and her investigations.
Overruled. Thank you.
So, this Skylar Boyle, you found him. Did you try to track down this other person?
Yes. Courthouse documents, word on the street. That's when I found a name. Mr. Peyton Clark.
Well, did you track down this Peyton Clark?
Yeah, working behind a gas station counter. Easy peasy.
Well, did you talk to Peyton Clark?
Oh, I went right up and started asking questions.
Now, Mr. Clark is here to testify today, so I'm not going to ask you what he said, but did he have any important information about Butch Pike?
First-hand knowledge.
Were you surprised the police had not already spoken with him?
No.
Well, did you share what you found?
Yes, with the defense attorneys.
And why not the police?
Again, we are not simpatico.
Do you have anything to gain by being here today?
I just hope you realize that I found the witnesses that the cops couldn't.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Cross-examine.
Yes, Your Honor. May I proceed?
Yes, go ahead, Nicole.
In 2015, you were fired from your position as a police officer, weren't you?
I was eager chasing down criminals and got into a little too many car accidents for them.
Right. You state that this is all because of the car crashes you were in.
Yes.
But on top of those car crashes, you were involved in a high-profile murder case, weren't you?
I was.
And this high-profile murder case involved your traffic stop?
Yes.
And you even pulled over the suspect, right?
I did.
And you
Objection, Your Honor, to improper character evidence. They are using past specific acts to attack her character, and that is not allowed.
May I respond, Your Honor? Sure. Your Honor, this is not being used for propensity purposes. This is being used for bias against the Scarborough Police Department in today's case.
Your Honor, they are not using it for their bias. If they were using it for their bias, they would simply just talk about the fact that she does not like the Scarborough Police Department. However, they are bringing up specific acts to attack her character, and that is not allowed.
May I respond? Sure. Your Honor, I'm going directly. This is laying foundation for her credibility and her bias against the Scarborough Police Department, which is a non-propensity act in today's case.
Overruled.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Now, just for clarity, you pulled over the suspect, right?
Yes, that is true.
And you collected evidence.
Yes.
But, Ms. Robertson, your stop was deemed illegal, wasn't it?
Yes, by the Scarborough Police Department, which I disagree with.
Exactly. That evidence was suppressed, right?
Yes, but I was arrested for all the crashes. This was a report, but it's not the full reason I was arrested.
Now, directing you back to my question, that evidence was suppressed in this case, right?
It was.
And the suspect was acquitted, right?
That is correct.
Well, let's move on to this case. Your license as a private investigator is suspended, isn't it?
It is.
And you believe that this is because Detective Webster wanted revenge, right?
Yeah, she made a little bit too many reports for me impersonating a police officer. This wasn't true because I'd be in jail if that's the true fact, but the reports caused them to put a suspension.
But the board believed that you were impersonating a police officer, right?
They maintained that there were reports about it, but if that was the truth, I'd be in jail.
Just a simple yes or no for clarification of the jury. The board believed that you were impersonating a police officer, right?
The board believed the reports of me impersonating a police officer.
And, well, let's talk about your investigation. You went to the Speedy Stop, right?
Yes, that is true. I found a first-hand informant, Mr. Peyton Clark. Your detective really should have interviewed him.
Well, okay, let's talk about your interview with Peyton Clark. Before that, you overheard him mention to a supervisor that you were a detective, right?
Yes, I clarified myself as a detective.
But up until that point, you had not said private detective, right?
No, I just clarified detective.
And you had not said private investigator, did you?
No, listen.
And you had not clarified at all that you
Objection,
were
Your
working.
Honor. I asked the opposing counsel let my witness finish her answer.
Let's let her finish.
Yes, Your Honor.
Listen,
Okay.
I step up right to that line. I don't cross it, but I get right up to it to get the answers that I need.
And up until that point, Ms. Robertson, you had not clarified that you were not working with the police department, did you?
Poor guy was spilling the beans.
Is that a yes to my question?
Which part of the question?
That you had not clarified you were working with the police department?
At that time, I said I was a detective, after I did clarify that I was not a police officer.
And you did this because you doubted the supervisor would let you use that office, right?
I did doubt it, and again, I step up to the line.
Now, let's talk about that. You are aware that there's potential footage at the Speedy Spout, right?
There was a butch pumping gas.
And you made no effort to recover this footage, right?
I didn't need that footage.
And you made no effort because you didn't want to run the risk of aiding the prosecution, right?
They could have found it on their own, but if they wanted video of butch pumping gas, they could have got it.
But, Ms. Robertson, directing you back to my question, you stated that you did not want to run the risk of aiding the prosecution, right?
I'm not helping them out, but if they wanted the footage of gas pumping, they got it.
Is that your in-court testimony that you did not state that you wanted to run the risk?
Oh, I said that at first. I said yes, and the fact that if they wanted to get footage, they could have came and got it.
Okay. And you were aware that you approached defense counsel, right?
Yes, I reach out to them through my private investigation.
And you started this whole investigation on your own accord, right?
Yes, again with being a private investigator, fewer rules, so I don't have to be attended by them, I can go to them.
And you would agree with me that that is outside of regular procedure, right?
In some cases.
But despite everything that you didn't or did do, you believe that you would be the hero of today's case, right?
Yes, I found Peyton Clark a first-hand witness.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Any redirect?
No, Your Honor. I just asked to tender the exhibit to the bench.
Witness is accused. Call your next witness.
Yes, Your Honor. The defense calls Peyton Clark to the stand.
Peyton Clark.
May I proceed?
Yes, go ahead, 8 seconds.
Can you please state your name for the jury?
My name is Peyton Clark.
And how old are you, Mr. Clark?
I'm 22. No, I'm 23.
Why are you here today?
I saw some stuff with Butch Pike, and the police never talked to me.
Well, what did you see?
On the day Kennedy was killed, I saw Butch act alone.
Do you know the defendant, Jordan Pike?
Yeah,
How do you know the defendant?
She was my youth counselor in school. She helped me stay in school and out of trouble, you know.
And how did you meet the defendant?
Okay, listen. I was a punk in school. Nothing too bad, just eating the Jimmy Dang fog juice every once in a while, you know. But Jordan, she talked to me like I was a person and not a problem. She has this real soft voice. You'll hear it. She just, I guess, helped me from falling back into old habits.
Mr. Clark, do you still engage in these old habits?
No. I just got in a lot of miles. A lot of miles.
Now, you mentioned that you saw Butch Pike act alone. What did you mean by this?
Well, on the day Kennedy was killed, I saw Butch ask to take Jordan's car out by himself. And then later that night, I saw him at the gas station filling the car up with gas, but he was by himself.
Well, let's walk through what you saw, starting with Butch asking to borrow the car alone. When did this happen?
It was a while before Kennedy was killed, at least a couple hours.
And where were you?
I was at Jordan's house.
Why were you at the Pike residence?
Oh, I just stopped by to say what up. But when I got there, it had just come out that Kennedy was back in town. And man, the house was tense.
How was it tense?
Listen, I knew Butch and I knew Kennedy. And I knew that Butch went to prison because of Kennedy. And Butch, he made it clear the dude never got over it.
Objection, Your Honor, speculation.
Your Honor, my witness is using his rationally based perception from his observations around Jordan and Butch. He specifically said Butch made it clear that he never got over it. That is his own personal observation.
May I respond, Your Honor?
Yes.
This has gone outside the scope of his rationally based perception. He's definitively saying that Butch never got over Kennedy. He was not with Butch every second of every day, therefore he's not able to say this.
Your Honor, if I may, he's using his rationally based perception to say that Butch seemed to have never forgiven Kennedy. That is in his own mind and not going outside of his lay witness testimony.
May I respond, Your Honor?
Sure.
Your Honor, this witness did not say that Butch seemed to never get over Kennedy. This witness said that Butch never got over Kennedy, which is a definitive statement and is speculative.
Would you have any problem if he had just said he seemed to never get over Kennedy?
As long as he's using his rationally based perception, Your Honor.
I think that's what counsel is saying that he's saying, so overruled. Thank you.
Yes, Your Honor. Now, did Butch ever say anything regarding Kennedy?
Yeah, he asked where she was staying. He asked for the address.
When did Butch ask to take the Mustang alone?
It was there. It was at Jordan's house.
And how did Jordan respond?
Jordan was just like, remind me to grab the gun before you go.
Do you know anything about this gun?
Yeah, Jordan just keeps it in her car for protection. She works in a sketch part of town.
And do you know exactly where she kept this gun?
Yeah, in her glove box.
Now, had you ever seen Butch ask to borrow the car alone?
Plenty of times. But because Butch was a felon, he couldn't have a gun. I would know.
And did you see what would happen to this gun when Butch would borrow the car?
Yeah, the same thing every time. Jordan had a habit of taking the gun out of the car before Butch would drive it.
Now, did you personally ever witness a time when she forgot?
No.
Let's go back to that afternoon on the couch when Butch was asking to borrow the car alone. Did he ever mention why he wanted to go without Jordan?
No.
Where did you go when you left the Pike residence?
I went to work. I'm a senior hydration specialist for automobiles.
And Mr. Clark, what is that?
I work at a gas station.
Well, let's talk about your evening at work. Did anything happen?
Well, you know, I was working and Butch came by in Jordan's car, but Jordan wasn't with him. He was by himself.
Well, tell us what happened while Butch was at your gas station.
Well, you know, he bought gas, but but then also he told me he was planning to take a long trip.
Now, do you know what Butch meant when he said he was planning on taking a long trip?
No. I mean, I was there when he asked to borrow the car for the night, and I figured Jordan needed it the next day for work. So I asked him, wait. Jordan will let you borrow the car that long?
And how did Butch respond?
He was all rude. He was like, don't worry about it. And then he drove off.
Your Honor, may I approach and retrieve Exhibit 8, the gas station receipt?
Yes.
I believe the jury should still have their copy. May I approach the witness? Sure. Mr. Clark, do you recognize this?
Yeah, this is the receipt I gave Butch after he bought the gas. Well, it's a picture of it and a pretty dirty floorboard.
Does this receipt show the name and location of your gas station?
Yeah, at the top, the Speedy Spout.
And can you tell us what the date on that receipt is?
June 8th, 2024. That's the night Kennedy was killed.
Now, you mentioned that receipt may look like it's laying on the floor mat of a car. Now, over here at counsel table is a police detective. Do you know this person?
I didn't, but I do now. Hey.
Did this detective ever talk to you face to face about that gas station receipt?
No.
Did this detective ever call you on the phone and ask you what you saw the night Butch killed Kennedy Long?
Nope.
Now, does the Speedy Spout have operating security cameras?
Yeah, that place has everything.
And what did these cameras typically show?
Well, they would show me working sometimes, but they also showed everyone who would walk in and out of the store.
Well, if this police detective right here never interviewed you, did anyone ever question you about what you saw the night of June 8th, 2024?
Yeah, a private detective. Louis Robertson, what's up?
Mr. Clark, I have to ask, were you hiding from the police?
No, I could have told them the same thing. I saw Butch by himself.
Your Honor, I have no further questions at this time.
Okay. Cross-examine.
Yes, Your Honor.
Get Ms. Kaplan.
May I proceed?
Yes, please.
Mr. Clark, in 2021, you were charged with promoting contraband in the first degree, weren't you?
Yeah, I tried to sneak some dope into jail, and that wasn't a good idea.
Now, this is a felony, right?
I mean, it's barely a felony. I mean, come on, promoting contraband,
But it is a felony, yes?
Yeah.
And like you said, this was due to your illegal possession of marijuana.
Yeah.
Well, more specifically, it was because you tried to sneak marijuana into jail.
Yeah, that was a bad idea.
Now, after jail, you went to rehab, didn't you?
Yeah, and now I'm like, better.
Now, the person that actually found that rehab center for you was the defendant, Jordan Pike.
Yeah, it's that place. Where is it? It's over by Big Watts, I think. But yeah, she found it for me, made a couple calls.
And there's also the defendant, Jordan Pike, who helped you find a job after rehab.
Yeah, she knew this guy who works at the Speedy Spout. He doesn't work there anymore. But yeah.
Now, Mr. Clark, as you stated on direct examination on June 8th, 2024, you heard Butch ask to use Jordan's car.
Yeah, he has to take it out by himself.
And you were aware that the defendant, Jordan Pike, usually kept a gun in her car.
Yeah, she did, but she was pretty good about getting it out. I never saw her forget.
You were aware that she usually kept ammunition in there as well?
Yeah, I think so.
Now, as far as you knew, when you left the house on June 8th, 2024, the defendant had not yet taken the gun out of the car, had she?
I mean, we heard Lou say a little bit ago that he was walking out of the house with the gun, and I'm not like the sharpest spoon in the drawer or anything, but I think that means that the gun was in the house.
But, Mr. Clark, I'm merely asking you, as far as you knew, when you left the house on that day, she had not yet taken the gun out of the car.
Oh, not yet, no.
And as far as you knew, when you left the house on that day, she had not yet taken the ammunition out either.
No, but I figured that's like a joint deal, you know?
Now, Mr. Clark, you were also aware that Butch wasn't very good with using technology.
No.
And because of this, Jordan often complained to you that she had to help put addresses in his phone.
Yeah, I mean, what can I say? Butch isn't very tech savvy.
And Jordan had Kennedy Lyon's address?
Yeah.
Now, you're here today ready to be the star witness.
Yeah, I just say things sometimes, and I think I'm pretty funny.
But you said this, correct?
Yeah.
And the defendant also told you that after you testified today, there would be no way that she'd be convicted.
Well, yeah, I think I have some pretty important information. And as Bob Marley said, it's like every little thing's gonna be alright. So if I just come and say what I know, I'm sure everything will work out.
But Mr. Clark, with a yes or a no to clarify for the jury, she did tell you that after you testified today, there would be no way she'd be convicted.
Yeah, because I have some information that y'all didn't want to really bring here
Now,
on your own.
Mr. Clark, you've also said that you owe Jordan Pike so much.
I mean, she helped me out. I mean, I had a problem with growing up after I graduated, and she helped me through that. But I'm just here to say what I know, you know?
But that's a yes to my question?
Yeah.
And you were also aware that Kennedy Lyon was allegedly robbed.
Yeah, she was. That's what she said back, at least.
And you were aware her perpetrator was acquitted?
I think so, yeah.
And after her perpetrator was acquitted, you heard the defendant, Jordan Pike, say, "Serves Kennedy right." I bet she lied about the whole thing. But if she didn't, it would have been better if she had just gotten shot. Correct?
Well, I mean, that's not how she said it. You know how, like, when someone's being really frustrating, you're like, "Oh, you're killing me, man." They're not actually killing you. That's just something you say. It's a figure of
But
speech.
Mr. Clark, she did say this exact quote, did she not?
I think so, yeah.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Anything further for this witness?
No, Your Honor. May I tender the exhibits to the bench?
Yes, please. And the defense will call their last witness.
Yes, Your Honor. The defense calls Jordan Pike to the stand.
Jordan Pike. Ms. Thompson, go for it.
Can you please state your name for the jury?
I'm Jordan Pike.
And how old are you?
I'm 29, but I'll be 30 soon.
Alright, well, let's cut to the chase, Jordan. Did you have anything to do with the death of Kennedy Lyon?
No,
Did you help your brother Butch kill Kennedy Lyon?
no, Butch acted alone.
And why do you say that?
I removed my gun from my car, just like I'm supposed to, just like I always did. But this time, while I was asleep, Butch went after Kennedy Lyon. I love my brother, but he acted alone.
Alright, well, let's take a step back. How would you describe your relationship with your brother Butch?
Complicated? I tried to help him. I really did. He's had a hard life. Prison, bad choices, anger issues. I kept hoping I could help him turn the corner. I mean, that's what I do for a living.
Well, can you tell the jury a little bit about your work?
Of course. I'm a youth counselor with Praxis Youth Services. I help kids stay in school, stay off drugs, and stay out of trouble.
Jordan, I'm going to ask you, can you tell me what this is?
That's my car.
And how about this?
That's my gun.
Now, we heard earlier today that Butch drove your car to Kennedy and shot her with your gun. So, do you know how he got these?
Butch borrowed my car, but he stole my gun.
Objection, speculation.
Your Honor, this witness is using her rationally based perception to state that Butch stole her gun while she was asleep.
No rationally based perception would be possible, as this witness has testified they were asleep. They are speculating that Butch stole their gun. They would have no definitive statement to rationally base their perception on, Your Honor.
Your Honor, we're laying the foundation for what we're going to get into in a moment about Jordan putting her gun into her dresser, and that is laying the foundation that Butch stole her gun from her dresser.
Overruled, but you're going to have to connect this up. Go ahead.
Yes, Your Honor. So let's start with Butch borrowing your car. How did that happen?
Earlier that day, he randomly asked if he could take it out that night alone.
Did he say what he needed it for?
No. I mean, it's not unusual for Butch to ask to borrow my car. He just has to tell me so I can remove my gun first.
And where did you put the gun that night?
In a dresser in my bedroom.
So after putting the gun in your dresser, what happened?
I get really bad migraines, and I could tell one was starting to come on because I start to get sensitive to light. I have a medication I can take when that happens, so I took a dose.
And what does that medication do?
It knocks me out. Once I take it, I'm out cold for hours.
So about what time did you get in bed?
Well, I know it was still daylight outside because the light from outside was still bothering me. So I had to close my blinds and my curtains and bury my head under the pillow.
And what caused you to get up and out of bed?
My phone, buzzing with news alerts. I grabbed it and I saw something about Butch and my car and shooting. I jumped out of bed.
So what did you do as you tried to make sense of this news?
At first I thought it was a nightmare, but then I started reading. And all I could think was, how would Butch even have a gun? And then it hit me. And I got up and I ran to my dresser and I opened it. My gun was gone.
So Jordan, after seeing that your gun was gone, what went through your mind?
My mind was racing, but I couldn't help but think that Butch had taken my gun while I was asleep and used it to do something terrible.
Now, did the police ever interview you?
Yes, the police came right away.
Now, what was your connection to Kennedy Lyon before that night?
None. I don't know if I've ever even talked to her.
Now, because the Commonwealth is alleging today that you arranged for Butch Pike to use this gun to kill Kennedy Lyon, I want to ask you, where is your gun in this photo?
In a shoebox under Skylar Boyle's bed.
And what is your reaction to seeing your gun under the bed of your brother's best friend?
It's the same shock I felt when I learned my car was in Tennessee. I knew nothing about either of these things.
Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
Cross-examine.
Yes, Your Honor. May I proceed?
Yes, please.
Ms. Pike, I'm going to ask you a few questions.
Okay.
Butch Pike killed Kennedy Lyon, isn't that right?
Yes.
You have animosity towards Kennedy.
I didn't know Kennedy personally, but I doubt we would have ever been friends.
So that's a yes, you have animosity towards Kennedy.
Yes.
You think Kennedy is a terrible person.
Yes.
You think Kennedy ruined your brother's life.
She had.
And this is because you blame Kennedy for Butch's arrest and sentencing.
That along with the justice system. It isn't always fair sometimes. I mean, look at today. Skylar Boyle provided the address.
Miss Pike, I'm not asking about Skylar Boyle.
Your Honor, I would ask that the attorney let my witness finish.
Your Honor, I would argue that the witness has gone way outside the scope of my question talking about Skylar Boyle.
Your Honor, if I may, I would argue that the witness is explaining her answer.
You could address that on redirect if you want to.
Yes, Your Honor.
Overrule for now. Go ahead.
Yes, Your Honor. So you blame Kennedy for Butch's arrest and sentencing.
I do, in part, along with the justice system.
And because of this, you are so angry at Kennedy. Isn't that right, Miss Pike?
Yes.
So you were with Butch and some friends on the night of June 8th.
That day, yes.
And you were watching true crime.
Yes.
And you were joking around.
Yeah.
You were laughing hysterically at these jokes, right, Miss Pike?
Yeah, we made some jokes and we thought it was funny at the time.
So you were laughing so hard you couldn't breathe.
Yes.
And all these jokes, Miss Pike, were about Butch Pike shooting Kennedy Lyon.
One joke was.
And Miss Pike, later that night, Kennedy Lyon was indeed shot.
Yes, but I had no idea of knowing that was actually going to happen.
So that's a yes to my question.
She was shot, but I didn't know it was going to happen.
So that's a yes.
Yes.
And Miss Pike, earlier that night, Skylar Boyle had told you that Kennedy Lyon was back in town.
Right.
And upon hearing that, you immediately asked for the address.
Yeah. And then I was like, you know what? I better not. But Skylar was already going through his phone, looking at his delivery records to find the address.
But Miss Pike, you still typed that address into your phone.
Yeah, well, he told me, and I was like, well, I might as well look it up.
You got directions to that address.
Yes, from Skylar Boyle.
And Butch saw these directions to Kennedy Lyon's address on your phone.
He might have been looking over my shoulder.
So that's a yes, Butch saw these directions.
He could have if he was looking over my shoulder while I was typing it in.
So that's a yes to my question. Butch was looking over your shoulder and saw these directions.
Sure, he could have.
So that's a yes to my question.
Your Honor, I would argue that the attorney is badgering my witness.
Your Honor, the witness has not answered with a definitive yes or no. She would know if Butch Pike looked over her shoulder, and she can testify as such.
If I may, Your Honor, this is also asked and answered. My witness has given an answer, and the attorney keeps asking the question over and over.
Sustained. Move forward.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Ms. Pike, I'll ask you to refer to copies of Exhibits 5, 6, and 7, which have already been entered into evidence. Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
Yes.
Thank you.
So, Ms. Pike, referring to Exhibit 5, this is your gun, correct?
It is.
And this is the same gun that Butch used to shoot Kennedy Lyon.
I believe so.
And Exhibit 6, this is your car.
It is.
The same car you let Butch borrow on the night of the murder.
Yes. Although I had no idea what was going to happen.
And Ms. Pike, Exhibit 7 is your ammunition.
Yes.
This is the same ammunition that Butch used to shoot Kennedy Lyon.
Right, the same ammunition he stole from me.
So that's yes to my question. Butch used that ammunition to shoot Kennedy Lyon.
Yes.
And Ms. Pike, after all of this, the police came to your house.
Yes, they did.
Detective Webster asked you some questions.
She did.
And Ms. Pike, you lied.
I did. As I stated, I had taken some migraine medication, and I wasn't in the best state of mind to be questioned.
But Ms. Pike, you lied not once, but twice during that interview.
I did. I was extremely scared and in a bad mental state.
So you lied about not owning a gun.
I did.
You lied about having no contact with Butch that night.
I had.
But actually you did have contact with Butch, isn't that right?
That's correct.
Butch texted you after the murder, Kennedy not a problem anymore.
Yes.
Butch texted you, do what you gotta do.
Right, to which I didn't respond.
No, Miss Pike, you did respond. You responded, ride or die, bro.
I responded ride or die, bro, to his ride or die. It's our way of saying I love you.
And that's right, Miss Pike. And after you texted Butch, You reached out to Skylar Boyle.
Yes.
You told Skylar to forget about all the earlier talk, right?
Right. I know how police can be in situations like this. I didn't want Skylar to get in any unnecessary trouble.
But Miss Pike, that talk you were telling Skylar to forget about was about Butch shooting Kennedy Lyon.
It was the comments we made while watching our television show.
So that's a yes to my question?
Yes.
No further questions.
Redirect.
Yes, Your Honor, briefly. Jordan, I don't think you were able to give your full explanation regarding Kennedy being the person who sent Butch to prison. Would you like to give the rest of your answer now?
Yes, please. While Kennedy was a reason that Butch was put in prison, the real reason was because of the justice system. Although I think it's unfair, the justice system can be unfair.
Objection to Rule
sometimes.
701, Your Honor.
Can you state the basis of the objection, please?
Yes, Your Honor. This is an improper opinion by a lay witness stating that the justice system is unfair, would be extremely biased, and moreover would require specialized legal knowledge for Jordan to even testify on this fact.
Your Honor, she is using her rationally based perception to see how she perceived the facts that were presented in front of her.
Overruled.
Yes, Your Honor.
Go for it.
So, can you finish with your explanation?
Right. Today is an example of an unfair justice system. Skylar Boyle provided the address, hid the gun, and lied to the police, and he is not facing any consequences today in court.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Any recross?
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Miss Pike, you would say that the reason for Butch Pike's arrest was Kennedy Lyon. Isn't that right?
It's part
Objection,
of the
Your Honor.
reason.
This is outside the scope of my redirect.
I think she's right.
Your Honor, I would say that since the redirect covered Kennedy Lyon and the justice system relating to Butch Pike, this would be well within the scope of her redirect.
I'm going to sustain the objection.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Miss Pike, you did lie to the police that night. Isn't that right?
Your Honor, I'm going to re-raise my objection. I did not cover this in my redirect.
Sustained.
Yes, Your Honor. So, Miss Pike, what was Butch's relationship with Kennedy?
Butch was a drug dealer for Kennedy.
And Miss Pike, Butch and Kennedy and the legal system were the reason Butch was sent to jail. Isn't that right?
Yes, that's true.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right. Do we want to take another short break? I believe that's the end of the defense case, correct?
Yes, Your Honor, the defense rests its case in chief.
Okay. Take 5 minutes. And Will, could I just check with you for a second?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, 5-minute break, everybody. Thank you.
Yes, Your Honor.
Are we ready to proceed? Missing anyone?
Yes, Your Honor.
The defense is ready to proceed.
All right. Members of the jury, it is my role now to provide instructions to you. Counsel will be referring to these instructions when they give their final arguments. So if you would attend these instructions, please. Instruction number 1, unanimous verdict. The verdict of the jury must be unanimous and signed by one of you as the foreperson. You may use the verdict form provided at the end of the instructions in writing your verdict. Instruction number 2 is the presumption of innocence. The law presumes a defendant to be innocent of a crime, and the indictment shall not be considered as evidence or have any weight against the defendant. You shall find the defendant not guilty unless you are satisfied from the evidence alone and beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant is guilty. If upon the whole case you have a reasonable doubt that the defendant is guilty, you shall find the defendant not guilty. Instruction number 3, these are some definitions. Complicity means that a person is guilty of an offense committed by another person when, with the intention of promoting or facilitating the commission of the offense, he or she solicits, commands, or engages in a conspiracy with such other person to commit the offense, or aids, counsels, or attempts to aid such person in the planning or committing of the offense. Knowingly. A person acts knowingly with respect to conduct or to a circumstance when he or she is aware that his or her conduct is of that nature or that the circumstance exists. Instruction number 4, complicity to murder. You will find the defendant guilty of complicity to murder under this instruction if and only if you believe from the evidence beyond a reasonable doubt all of the following. A, that in Casson County on or about June 8, 2024, and before the finding of the indictment herein, Brady Butch Pike killed Kennedy Lyon. B, that prior to the killing, the defendant had solicited, commanded, or engaged in a conspiracy with Brady Pike to kill Kennedy Lyon, or that the defendant had aided, counseled, or attempted to aid Brady Pike in planning or committing the offense. And C, that in doing so, the defendant intended that Kennedy Lyon would be killed. Instruction number 5, facilitation to commit murder. If you do not find Jordan Pike guilty of complicity of murder under instruction number 4, you will find the defendant guilty of facilitation to commit murder under this instruction if and only if you believe from the evidence beyond a reasonable doubt all of the following. A, that in Casson County on or about June 8, 2024, and before the finding of the indictment herein, the defendant acted with knowledge that Brady Butch Pike intended to kill Kennedy Lyon. B, that the defendant provided access to Kennedy Lyon's location, or the defendant provided the defendant's vehicle or firearm to Brady Pike while knowingly providing Brady Pike with the means or opportunity to kill Kennedy Lyon. And C, that the defendant provided said location information, vehicle, or firearm which aided Brady Pike in killing Kennedy Lyon. And we'll submit a verdict form to you. Thank you for your attention. We'll now hear from counsel.
Yes, Your Honor. I ask to reserve the remainder of my time for a rebuttal.
All right.
May I proceed, Your Honor?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Your Honor, opposing counsel, members of the jury, may it please the court. On June 8, 2024, Kennedy Lyon was alive. By the end of the day, she was dead. She was dead because Jordan Pike made sure her brother had everything he needed to kill her. 1 car, 1 gun, 1 murder. Members of the jury, in my hands I hold the jury instructions. These instructions are your roadmap. They tell you exactly how to reach the right conclusion. Guilty or not guilty? Let's walk through them together. Instruction 4, complicity to commit murder, lays out the law step by step. And when you apply the evidence to those steps, there is only one conclusion. Jordan Pike is guilty. Members of the jury, Part A requires you to find that on or about June 8, 2024, Brady Butch Pike killed Kennedy Lyon. There is no reasonable doubt. Jordan Pike told you herself. Butch Pike had the means, motive, and opportunity to kill Kennedy. He fled from the police and left his sister behind to answer for his crime. Detective Webster testified how Butch abandoned Jordan's car at the Tennessee border, leaving his own sister twisting in the wind. 1 car. Members of the jury, Part B requires you to find that Jordan aided, counseled, or conspired with Butch in planning or committing the offense. And the evidence proves she did. Skylar Boyle told you it was Jordan who provided the address to Butch, telling him, "Now you know where not to go." And when Butch showed up at Skylar's apartment later that night, he was covered in blood in Jordan's same blue Mustang, handing Skylar the murder weapon. Jordan's gun. 1 gun. Members of the jury, Part C requires you to find that Jordan intended for Kennedy Lyon to be killed. Members of the jury, the testimony is clear.
Jordan considered Kennedy Lyon a snitch and would do whatever it took for Kennedy Lyon to get what snitches deserved. And what did Jordan say to Skylar Boyle? Revenge on a snitch? What an idea. And then she laughed. She laughed about it. That is not a joke. That is intent. Those cold and calculating words and cruel laughter led to action. Action that led to a disturbing 911 call from Billy Anderson that very same night. She's been shot. There's blood everywhere. A Mustang. One murder. Members of the jury, the picture is unmistakable. Jordan hated Kennedy Lyon. She considered her a snitch. She gave her brother the gun. She pointed him to the victim. She encouraged him. Members of the jury, Butch Pike may have pulled the trigger, but Jordan Pike gave him everything he needed. One car, Jordan's car. One gun, Jordan's gun. One murder, Jordan's intent. Members of the jury, justice demands accountability. The evidence requires a verdict. Find Jordan Pike guilty of complicity to murder. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sulkowski. Ms. Allison?
Yes, Your Honor. May I proceed?
Yes, please.
May it please the court, opposing counsel, members of the jury, Butch acted alone. Detective Webster should have figured that out in the first 5 minutes of the investigation. Think about it. Kennedy Lyon is cowering on the porch, arms up in fear, because Butch Pike, the person she sent to prison, is marching toward her with a raised gun. And what does Butch say to the person he's about to shoot 3 times and murder? I have been waiting for this. Not, we have been waiting for this. Not, my sister has been waiting for this. I, Butch Pike, have been waiting for this. Singular. Personal. Alone. Butch acted alone. Now, the Commonwealth wants you to believe that this murder was a team effort between siblings, but there's a reason that Ms. Sulkowski glossed over these jury instructions. They set too high of a bar for the Commonwealth. Now, it's really hard to convict someone of complicity to murder. As Judge Masterson has already read to you, the Commonwealth is required to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Jordan intended for Kennedy to be killed. Not that she owned a car, not that she owned a gun, not that she loved her brother, but that she intended for Kennedy to die, to be murdered. They had no direct evidence of that intent. And when a case relies on speculation, the law requires a verdict of not guilty. Now, we gave you direct evidence that Butch acted alone. Lou Robertson, the private investigator, saw Butch leaving the Pike house alone, sneaking gun in hand. She watched as he looked back to the Pike house to where Jordan was asleep and drive away. Now, if this were really a partnership, why was Butch sneaking? And where was Jordan? Shouldn't she have been there at the door waving? And think about this. Butch was leaving the house with the gun. So how did it get into the house in the first place? This proves that Jordan removed it from the car and Butch stole it. The defense case then follows Butch to the Speedy Spout gas station, where our second witness, Hayden Clark, saw him alone. Butch said he was going on a long trip by himself, then he drove off alone to commit this murder. And can we please talk about how terrible of a murder plan this would have been? Butch shows up without a mask and shoots someone who yells out his name right before the shooting. He then drives away in a car that anyone could identify. There's no way that Jordan was involved. Now, you heard her speak. She's a social worker. She helps kids avoid the same path that destroyed her brother, and the Commonwealth wants you to believe she suddenly flipped, plotted murder, and calmly went to sleep. No. Sorry, that's not how it works. They want you to focus on what she said hours later during a police interview, while she was under the influence of a medicine that calms her brain and puts her to sleep. She was scared and overwhelmed. The law does not punish people for being scared. It punishes them for intentional acts. The Commonwealth was required to prove that Jordan intended for Kennedy to die. They had no direct evidence of that intent. No one actually heard Jordan encourage violence. Everyone who saw Butch that night saw him alone. They only left you with reasonable doubt. And when there's any reason to doubt, your verdict must be not guilty. Now, the truth is simple. Butch acted alone. Find her not guilty. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Allison. Ms. Sokowski, I think you reserved some time.
Yes, Your Honor. I would like to inquire how much time I have remaining.
50 seconds.
May I proceed, Your Honor?
Yes, please.
Members of the jury, opposing counsel came before you and tried to tell you today that Butch acted alone. But what have you heard throughout today's trial? The car was Jordan's. The gun was Jordan's. The address to Kennedy Lyon, provided by Jordan. The comments, all Jordan's own. Revenge on a snitch? What an idea! Hey, Butch, maybe you'll bump into Kennedy sometime. Serves Kennedy right. It would have been better if she had just gotten shot. There is no reasonable doubt here, members of the jury. Not in these statements. This is all the defendant's own intent. Find her guilty. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, counsel. We need the judges to complete their ballots. By a 4-5 verdict, the jury finds the defendant not guilty.